in the heart of downtown Manhattan, where the skyscrapers pierce the cloudy sky like arrogant giants and the streets pulsed with the relentless rhythm of ambitious souls chasing their next big break, stood a modest food truck painted in faded shades of red and yellow, its once vibrant logo of a smiling taco now chipped and weary from years of weathering the elements, much like its owner, Elena Ramirez, a 28-year-old woman with dark curls tied back in a practical ponytail, her olive skin glistening with sweat under the harsh fluorescent lights inside the cramped mobile kitchen, where she flipped tortillas and chopped onions with mechanical precision, her mind a whirlwind of worries about rent, her little sister's college tuition, and the gnawing emptiness that had settled in her chest since her parents' untimely death 5 years ago in a car accident that left her as the sole provider for her family, forcing her to abandon her own dreams of becoming a chef in a fancy restaurant to keep this inherited food truck afloat, serving greasy tacos and burritos to hurried office workers and tourists who barely glanced at her face, treating her as invisible, just another cog in the city's food machine. But on this particular rainy Tuesday afternoon in September, as the lunch rush peaked and the line snaked around the corner, Elena wiped her forehead with the back of her arm, her apron stained with salsa spills, and called out next. In a voice hoarse from shouting orders all morning, her eyes scanning the queue without really seeing, until they landed on a man at the end, tall and impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit that screamed wealth, his polished shoes reflecting the puddles on the sidewalk, a sleek watch peeking from his cuff that probably cost more than her entire truck, his hair perfectly styled with just a hint of silver at the temples, giving him an air of distinguished maturity. But Elena didn't linger. She had no time for daydreams about the elite. She ignored his subtle attempts to make eye contact as he inched forward, her focus on the immediate tasks, scooping rice, layering beans, wrapping foil with expert speed, handing over meals with a curt "that'll be $8, and moving on, because in her world, everyone was just a transaction, a means to survive another day. Yet as the line dwindled and he finally reached the window, he ordered a simple chicken taco, his voice smooth and confident, laced with an accent she couldn't quite place, but she punched in the order without looking up, her fingers flying over the greasy touchscreen register, muttering the total under her breath, and when he handed over a crisp $100 bill, she sighed inwardly, hating how the rich always flashed their money like it was nothing, but she made change quickly, shoving the bills and coins back at him with a mumble "keep the change if you want," her tone clipped, dismissive, because why should she care about some millionaire CEO type who probably ran one of those tech firms swallowing the city whole, laying off people like her friends while pocketing billions. And as he lingered a second too long, she felt a flicker of irritation, waving him off with the next customer, please, but he didn't move, instead leaning closer to the window, his cologne wafting in a subtle mix of sandalwood and citrus that stirred something deep in her memory, something buried under layers of hardship and time, and then he whispered those words, soft yet piercing, "Still remember me, Lena?" And her hands froze mid-motion, the spatula clattering to the grill, her heart slamming against her ribs like a trapped bird, because no one called her Lena anymore, not since childhood, not since that summer in the small town of Willow Creek, where she grew up in a modest house on the edge of the woods, playing in the fields with a boy named Alex, a scrawny kid with messy brown hair and the infectious laugh, the son of the local mechanic who dreamed of escaping the poverty that clung to their families like dust. And they had been inseparable, sharing secrets under the old oak tree, promising to conquer the world together, but life had torn them apart when his family moved away after his father's job loss, and she never heard from him again, assuming he had forgotten her and whatever new life he built. But now, staring into those familiar blue eyes that held a storm of emotions, a regret, longing, hope, she realized this stranger in the suit was Alex, transformed by success into Alexander Hale, the CEO of Hale Tech, a company worth billions, featured on magazine covers as one of the youngest self-made millionaires, and the whisper unlocked a floodgate of memories, their first kiss behind the school gym, the nights stargazing and planning futures, the painful goodbye when he left at age 15, promising to write but never doing so, lost to the chaos of his family's struggles, and Elena's world tilted, her breath catching as tears welled up unbidden, because how could he be here, now, after all these years, and why did it hurt so much to see him succeeding while she scrapped by, her food truck a symbol of her stalled life, and as the rain picked up, pattering against the truck's roof like insistent fingers, she whispered back, "Alex?" Her voice breaking, and he nodded, a soft smile cracking his composed facade, but before she could process, a customer behind him grumbled impatiently, pulling her back to reality, and she handed him his taco with trembling hands, murmuring, "We can't talk now," but he slipped a business card through the window, his fingers brushing hers, sending a jolt of electricity she hadn't felt in years, and said calmly, "Lena, we have unfinished business," before stepping away into the downpour, leaving her staring at the card, her mind reeling from the collision of past and present, wondering if this was fate's cruel joke or a second chance she never expected. And as the afternoon wore on, the lunch crowd thinning, Elena found herself replaying every moment of their childhood, the innocent love that had sustained her through tough times at home, her parents' constant arguments over money, Alex being her escape, teaching her to dream big, and now he was back, but as a millionaire, while she was the poor food truck girl, ignored by the world, including him for so long. Or had he been searching for her all this time? The question swirled as she closed up shop early, driving the truck back to her tiny apartment in Queens, where her sister Maria waited, a bright-eyed college freshman studying art, oblivious to the storm brewing in Elena's heart. And that night, as she lay in bed, the business card clutched in her hand, she debated calling, fear and excitement warring within her, because what if he pitied her now, or worse, what if the boy she loved had become a man she didn't recognize, hardened by wealth and power? But the whisper echoed in her ears, "Still remember me," pulling at her soul, and little did she know, Alex was in his penthouse across the city, pacing the marble floors, his empire feeling empty without the one person who knew him before the fame, regretting the years lost to his relentless climb to the top, vowing to win her back if she'd let him, setting the stage for a reunion that would challenge everything they thought they knew about love, loss, and redemption. As Elena finally dialed the number, her finger hovering over the call button, heart pounding, ready to step into the unknown, as the phone rang in Elena's dimly lit apartment, the sound cutting through the silence like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters, she held her breath, second-guessing every decision that led to this moment, her mind flashing back to the food truck encounter earlier that day, the whisper that shattered her carefully built walls, and when Alex's voice answered on the third ring, warm and tentative, saying, "Lena, is that really you?" It was as if no time had passed, the years melting away in the timbre of his words, and they talked for hours, starting with awkward pleasantries about the weather and the city, but quickly delving deeper. Alex explaining how his family had bounced from town to town after leaving Willow Creek, his father chasing unstable jobs, until they settled in California where Alex discovered his knack for coding in high school, building apps in his garage that caught the eye of investors, propelling him to found Hail Tech at 21, amassing a fortune through innovative software that revolutionized data security for corporations worldwide. But amid the success stories, he confessed the loneliness that came with it, the boardrooms filled with sycophants, the relationships that fizzled because no one saw past the CEO title to the boy who still missed his roots, and Elena opened up in return, sharing the grief of losing her parents in that foggy night crash, how she dropped out of culinary school to take over the food truck, pouring her soul into recipes that reminded her of family dinners, supporting Maria through high school and now college, sacrificing her own happiness to ensure her sister had opportunities she never did, and as the conversation flowed, laughter mingling with tears, they agreed to meet the next day at a quiet cafe tilde copyright overlooking Central Park, away from the chaos of her truck and his office, and when Elena arrived, dressed in her best jeans and a simple blouse, feeling underdressed next to his casual yet expensive attire, he stood to greet her with a hug that felt like coming home, his arms strong and familiar, and over coffee and pastries, they reminisced about Willow Creek adventures, like the time they built a fort in the woods and pretended to be explorers, or the summer festival where they shared cotton candy and stole glances under fireworks. But beneath the nostalgia lurked unspoken pains: Elena's resentment at his silence all these years, wondering why he never reached out, and Alex admitting he had tried once, sending a letter to her old address that must have gotten lost in the mail during her family's move after the accident, and how his rise to fame made him fearful of rejection, assuming she had moved on without him. But now, face to face, the spark reignited, their eyes locking in moments of silent understanding, and as the afternoon sun filtered through the leaves, Alex suggested a walk in the park, their hands brushing accidentally at first, then intentionally intertwining, sending warmth through Elena's veins, reminding her of what it felt like to be seen, truly seen, not as the poor food truck girl but as the vibrant woman she was. And over the following weeks, the reconnection blossomed into dates that bridged their worlds, him showing her the view from his penthouse, where they cooked together using her family recipes, laughing as flour dusted their clothes, and her introducing him to Maria, who eyed him suspiciously at first but warmed up when he offered to mentor her in digital art using his company's tools. And amid these joys, challenges arose, like when Elena overheard a snide comment from one of Alex's colleagues at a company gala she attended reluctantly, dressed in a borrowed gown, whispering about the charity case he was dating, stinging her pride and making her question if she belonged in his glittering life, or when Alex's demanding schedule led to canceled plans, leaving her alone in the truck during a busy shift, doubting if their past could overcome present disparities, but each hurdle drew them closer, Alex proving his devotion by showing up at her truck incognito, helping serve customers with a baseball cap hiding his face, his laughter echoing as he bungled orders but charmed everyone, and Elena supporting him through a high-stakes board meeting crisis, reminding him of the resilient boy she knew. And as autumn leaves turned golden, their love deepened, culminating in a weekend getaway to a cabin reminiscent of Willow Creek, where under a blanket of stars, Alex got down on one knee, not with a flashy diamond but with a simple ring engraved with "Still Remember Me," proposing with tears in his eyes, confessing that his millions meant nothing without her, and Elena, her heart overflowing, said yes, envisioning a future where she could expand her food truck into chain with his support, but more importantly, building a life together, healing old wounds, and creating new memories. Yet fate tested them one last time when a tabloid leaked their story, painting Elena as a gold digger and Alex as a fool, flooding her truck with paparazzi and cruel online comments, forcing her to close shop temporarily, retreating to her apartment in despair, feeling exposed and unworthy. But Alex stood by her, holding a press conference to declare his love publicly, sharing their childhood photos and vowing to protect her from the spotlight. And in the end, as they weathered the storm, emerging stronger, Elena reopened her truck with a new menu inspired by their journey, and Alex scaled back his work to prioritize family, welcoming Maria into their fold, proving that true love isn't about ignoring differences but embracing them. And as they stood together in line at her truck on their wedding day, surrounded by friends and family, he whispered once more, "Still remember me," and she replied with a kiss, "Always." Their story a testament to second chances, emotional depths, and the power of remembering where you came from.